Hey everyone, this is going to be your introduction to our appraisal tool. So I thought this was the best name for it, growth, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. So as you know, our vision is growing all minds and hearts. And so this appraisal system is really about growing ourselves. And so we have agreed as a vision for our school that we're going to grow all minds and hearts. And so really, we're going to look at our strengths and we're going to look at our areas of growth, and then we're going to pick a couple of areas that we want to get better at, really making sure we better our craft of teaching. So you have brains in your head and feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction that you choose. Dr. Seuss. And so you have to make that choice of how you want this journey to go. And so I challenge you to really look at this as that growth opportunity. Really do some deep evaluation of yourself to be the very best that you can be. So let's dig in. First, you'll notice that our appraisal tool has the words professional growth and development built into it. That was by design, and really because that is something that's very important to Lovejoy ISD and obviously Lovejoy Elementary. And so this is not a gotcha. Hear me now. This is not a gotcha. This is really for us to look at, here are our strengths as a teacher, here's our areas of growth. And then we're going to kind of come up with a plan of what do we want to work on? How do we want to get better? So it is a rubric. It has 7 domains in it. Its first is collaborative planning and preparation for learning. As you all know, collaborative planning is a cornerstone of what we do. We spend a lot of time in collaborative planning, really looking at those TEKs, looking at the rigor of the TEK, then designing those learning targets, those what mastery looks like for your grade level with that criteria, and then really figuring out what's the best way to assess that, and then obviously looking at the data. So that's a huge part of what we do. Next up, we have classroom management. That's the culture you bring in your room. Do you have quick transitions between time, or are you wasting time? Are your students polite and respectful to each other and to you? Are they engaged in what they're doing, or are they just being compliant? Is there excitement in your room? All of those things make up classroom management. Delivery of instruction. This is really where you are really honing the craft of what you're doing. Do you follow Lucy Calkins and the workshop models? We usually do that workshop model in reading, writing, and math. And then in science, we're using the inquiry model. Is that what is happening in your classroom? Again, that mini lesson, that practice piece, kids working, you collaborating and conferencing with kids and pulling small groups. Next, we know you have to monitor and assess and then follow up with your kids. We want all of our kids to grow a year no matter what. And so that's really where that's about. We monitor their progress. We're doing common assessments between our grade level. We're looking at that data, and then we're following up. Did my lesson really get what my students needed? Or do I need to change what I'm teaching to make sure my students can grow? Pulling those small groups for kiddos who need reteach and pulling small groups for kids who need extension. Then we have professional responsibilities. And then, of course, last but not the last two are family and community outreach and student growth. The family and community outreach, you will be really appraising yourself on. And then that student growth piece will be the SLO, which we'll talk about next. So I'd like for you to take a few moments and push pause on this video and then read the appraisal tool. Remember, you're going to have to go back into the original document that I sent to get the Lovejoy Appraisal Tool. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions about the appraisal tool, please make sure you write them down so we can discuss them in our meetings on Thursday. So next up, we have student learning objectives. So really, about 3 years ago, the state decided we were going to have a student learning objective. And really what it is, it's an opportunity for us as a school or a campus to look at areas of growth that we want to, and for teachers to look at areas of growth that we want to. And then we're going to be purposeful and intentional about working on that area. So you can choose really anything you want. You need to make sure it is aligned. I highly recommend, if you're a returning member, that you use the one we had last year because we didn't get to finish that. And so I think you still need to work on that. Remember, also, you need to make sure you choose something that is broad, not something that is very narrow-minded. So, for example, it probably wouldn't be in your best interest to choose a student can recall the addition math facts. All those students need to know that. That's not going to give you a lot of bang for your buck. You need something that's going to give you a lot of bang for your buck. So look at like that problem solving process, or maybe looking at like the purpose of writing, and really look through those big strands of things to choose something. We have some examples that we're going to go through in a minute. The purpose of the attributes are that it helps you with making responsive instructional decisions. You're obviously addressing academic standards. It's equitable, meaning all students can use it and tap into it. Be clear, concise, and easily understood, and it's manageable. So again, student learning objective. As your team, really look at this. If you weren't here last year, your team can definitely help you. And if you are teaching like a new subject area or something like that, I'm actually going to send you all some examples that you might want to use or tweak. But here is an example of a strong SLO. And so you'll notice it kind of walks you right through it. But I just want to show you, I'm going to go down to, so here it is. Students will be able to evaluate the sequence of events in lunar cycle and the effects on the ocean tides. Students will also be able to model and illustrate how the tilt of the earth causes day and night and revolves around the sun to cause seasons. So that's a pretty big, broad thing, and it goes through a lot of different effects, and really this science and this understanding affects a lot of different other science. So then you'll look through the choices. You'll be able to see how in that masters, it's like collect, record, and analyze. In the meets, there's just analyze. Approaches is there in the analysis and create, they're almost there. And then below is below the standard. This just matches our report card almost perfectly. Remember, meets is grade level expectation. Again, meets is grade level expectation. Notice on the week example of the SLO, and remember you have all of these in your in the presentation that is attached, so you can go back and reread all of these. Ask more higher level questions to increase rigor in my lessons. Students are able to correctly answer questions I ask at level 3. Okay, see, there's not really a lot of specificity of what's going to do. And so you really have no idea really what you're going to do here. So again, you want to be specific. You really want to make sure that it's tied to a standard, and that standard is going to get you bang for your buck. And then obviously there is the SLO form, which I just showed you an example of. All right, moving on. Oh my goodness. I got a little happy with that. Sorry about that, y'all. All right, so how will this work? So each 9 weeks, we are going to meet with you, Angie or myself, whoever your evaluator is. We're going to look at the walkthroughs we go through. We're going to kind of talk about your SLO, and then if there is some small goals you want or big goals that you want for us to tackle. So if you purposely want us to monitor, let's say, transitions in your classroom. So when we come through to do your walkthroughs, that's something we'll kind of keep in mind. If you want us to monitor how many higher level questions you ask, we'll kind of keep that in mind. We're going to do walkthroughs with immediate feedback. We'll have 10 per week that we'll be doing, and then we'll immediately send you the form, which I'm about to show you. And then we're also going to do one formal walkthrough this year. This will be an opportunity for you to schedule a time with us. We're going to say, okay, it's time for walkthroughs. Please tell me a time this week that you would like us to come in and watch. So we would send you that email, and then you'll tell us a time that we'll come in, and then we'll come in at that time. If you're a virtual teacher, we'll be popping in on your Zooms, and then we will also do probably 2 formal walkthroughs. So we'll do like a 20-minute and a 25-minute, and for those areas. Okay, so this is your resources. So you have your appraisal calendar, which shows you all the dates that you need everything. Again, remember you have this PowerPoint, so you can go back through and find all that. Here's the professional growth and tool. That's your SLO form. Here's your student tracker growth form. I also included this all on the worksheet. Your summary sheet, again, that's on the worksheet. Here's something that I'm super excited about is here's the classroom observation form that we will be using when we observe your class for the 45 minutes. So as you can see, the rubric is on the left, and then we are going to just document evidence or comments that we see through this. After this 45 minutes that we do, you'll have a conference with Angie or myself. That might serve as that 9-week conference or not. We'll just have to wait and see how it goes. So you will have a conference to discuss. Here's the great things I saw. Here's some things I'd like for you to work on. And then you'll have an opportunity to work on those. And then here's the walkthrough form that you'll be getting. And so you'll know exactly everything that we'll be looking for when we come into your classroom. Sorry guys, my computer's slow today. So again, here's everything you'll see. We'll tell you what area we're in. If it's a GT classroom, we'll see if there's evidence of the depth and complexity. And then really, is a teacher aware of student misunderstandings, misconceptions, cognitive demand level, learning target is posted, and the teacher engages in the learning target and reflects the rigor is specific to the days. So we'll check all of those things that we see. Criteria is being done and used, feedback is being provided, teachers providing opportunities for students to be actively engaged. Notice this is a little different because of social distancing. Like a Kagan structure is being used effectively with chosen structure, communication using appropriate terms, providing evidence, to defend answers, discussing alternative solutions, recording observations, verbally processing. It's not expected that you do all of those things, but those are just some things that we're specifically looking for. Then at the end, we will give you some final notes, and then we will send this to you. So that will be our walkthrough form. Again, remember, any questions that you have, please have them prepared so that we can answer them when we get to you on Thursday. Thank you.